We're on a road trip in Oman.
Play the theme music. Hello and welcome to this episode of Tripology. I'm Alan. I'm here with the evergreen Adam.
50 Shades of Green this week, Alan.
Yeah, because there's a lot of green things that we might come to talk about.
Yeah, green in more ways than one.
Yeah, go on. Right at the top of the episode, let's lay down some of the greens that we might discuss. We're talking vomit.
yeah, right off the top, we're talking vomit. There was some vomit.
We're talking plantation.
Plantation, yeah, lots of green, lots of plants, lots of wonderful foliage.
And we're talking turtles, green turtles. So if you've tuned in, you've thought, I like tripology, but they don't deal in the realm of amphibious little creatures often enough, we've got some turtle content coming right up.
Yeah, cruising around Oman. Absolutely loving it so far. I think that a road trip through Oman is maybe the right way to do it.
Yeah, and regular listeners to the show, they've seen us for the past 2 weeks broadcast from this vehicle.
Yeah.
And they've thought, I've been loving the Pakistan content, but I can't wait till we deal with Oman. I want to hear stories from the car in which they're broadcasting. And today, it's your fucking lucky day, listeners, because today it's going to be the genesis of our road trip in Oman. We're going to talk about what we've been doing here in Oman, why we came to Oman.
Yeah.
What happened? Why we're in this vehicle?
Our first impressions of a country that I didn't really know anything about.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it.
No.
I thought it was a mispronunciation of like a bad bit of witchcraft.
Which is what?
An omen.
Yeah, so why did we choose Oman originally?
Well, I think what it was, Adam, was me and you. We've been travelling together for a long time now.
Yeah.
We've been all over India.
We have.
And we've been a little bit in Pakistan.
A little bit.
And we had just a finite amount of time left before, I hate to say it, we're going to part ways for a short period of time.
Yeah, we did some research and we were within one flight away from the sort of Middle East.
Yep.
And we thought, where would be interesting to go? And then after a little bit more research, we realised that there was a 14-day free visa on arrival for Oman.
Which was perfect. It slotted into exactly the amount of time that we had left together after Pakistan.
Yeah, and you know, I might get some haters for saying this, and it is unfounded because I've never really been there apart from the airport. Dubai doesn't interest me that much.
No, me neither. The region interests me, but the place, not so much. So Oman seemed like the perfect thing.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, it's been really good. We spoke to a number of people, one of whom we met in Pakistan, actually, and we were advised that a road trip was the way to go. So we decided to shell out an awesome amount of money for a car. Shell out. Shell out.
Because of the turtle.
Because of the turtle. That's
Nice.
a turtle joke as well.
Yeah, great, man. Because we were told that a car was the way to go. And it's expensive, isn't it, a vehicle sometimes, especially for us. But we thought we can save money in a couple of areas.
Yeah.
And that is, we won't need to buy a hostel. We won't need to buy accommodation if we're in the vehicle. We'll just put down a very thin piece of fabric.
Yeah.
Here is said fabric. And then we can just sleep in the car.
So it's not the sort of vehicle that you would typically sleep in, I don't think. We've just folded all of the seats down in the back and then put a blanket over the top, which is totally doable. I'm not sure the rental company know that we're doing this, but that's fine. I think they'll be fine with it. We've been very respectful, very clean and tidy.
Yeah, and we'll talk about sort of our sleeping arrangements maybe in more detail, but I want to kind of give the audience a good impression, a good holistic view, because when we arrived in Oman, we entered Muscat.
Yes, the capital.
Yeah, and far from being a heavily scented feline, Muscat is actually the capital of Oman, yeah.
Yeah. What were your first impressions? Because we were there for 3 days. I'll start off by saying, if you're just going there as a tourist to explore the city for touristic purposes, don't think you need 3 days.
Yeah, I think Muscat really is defined by a couple of things for me. It's not South Asia.
Sure.
And, we spent a long time in South Asia, so that was a culture shock, frankly.
Yeah.
No rickshaws zipping around. And also it has this amazing, this grand mosque.
Yes.
Which is very beautiful and worth seeing.
Totally, yeah. And we went to another mosque as well, the Al Aman Mosque, which was lovely. Totally recommend both of those things. Otherwise, though, I wouldn't have said it's pedestrian friendly.
Not pedestrian friendly and not particularly backpacker friendly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we stayed in a rather fun hostel, didn't we?
Very few hostels. We had just one option.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only hostel I've ever been to. And tell me if you've had other experiences like this, where the staff of the hostel are almost entirely absent. It's the equivalent to one of those. Have you ever seen those Norwegian supermarkets where there's no staff? You just go in, you sort of select your things, then honesty system, just pay.
Yeah, I mean, it was even less convenient than that, though, because I think in this hostel in particular, other guests, including us at one point, were helping out new guests who were checking in because of the absence of the staff and owner. So, yeah, it was sort of people turning up looking all confused and saying, could they do a check-in? And you go, I mean, it was like this for me, mate. You just kind of talk to someone else, hope that some bed sheets are near a bed that looks free, and then maybe pay at some point in the near future.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard to find the hostel. It's up sort of a complex. And then when you enter, there's clean bed sheets that just materialise on the beds themselves and are used. The Wi-Fi password is handed down via oral tradition. Never has it been written. It just passes from guest to guest to guest. It's quite remarkable, really.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend doing this, as I'm sure you wouldn't either, but it is perfectly possible to go there, stay for a few days and leave, and there would be no trace.
Yeah, I don't think you have to pay. It's honesty system, much like the aforementioned Norwegian supermarket. But all in all, like you say, Muscat, for me, it really represented just a break from South Asia, a reset.
Yeah.
And I was happy when our car arrived and it was time to leave.
Yeah, we hit the road straight away. We spent the first night parked up on a little beach. Important to say at this point, I guess, that wild camping is completely free and almost encouraged across Oman.
Yeah, much like Scotland for our UK listeners, wild camping, absolutely the done thing here, to the point where there's often like free municipal government-funded campsites.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Very cool. Really convenient. So it basically means if you are sleeping in your vehicle, or if you've got a small tent or whatever, you can literally put up anywhere. And if you're doing really long distances, as we have done, I think we've clocked 2,500 kilometres already, Alan.
Yeah, wow.
You can get the driving done. And then once it starts to get dark or you get hungry or whatever, you just pull up, jump in the back, and there you go.
I think the whole wild camping thing sort of spins the wheel in Oman's favour a little bit, because I think, if wild camping wasn't an option, traveling here would be very difficult as a budget backpacker.
Yeah, no, it would be. Some things are really expensive. Some things are quite cheap. But I don't know if the fact that we were in South Asia for such a long time meant that the difference was so stark.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for my impressions of Oman not to be coloured by the travel that I've done previous to it.
Yeah.
There's such a stark difference, isn't it? It's like things are more expensive. The rial, the currency here, is doubly as strong as the sterling.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you are paying, what, 3-4 quid quite comfortably for coffees and stuff?
Which we've been drinking a lot of because we so missed coffee after our time in Pakistan and India.
Yeah, well, do you think that's the reason why on the first night when we did pull up at that picturesque beach that I actually spent most of the night curled over across some rocks, vomiting my guts up?
Because of the coffee?
Maybe.
I think you've been having various bouts of illness over the last few weeks. We talked in a previous episode about you being sick in Pakistan.
Yeah.
We talked about you now being sick here on the beach. What do you think's going on?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just not cut out for the heat, or the amount of fat, or the lack of vegetables, perhaps, the lack of fruit. Although we're tucking right into the mango shakes, aren't we?
We definitely are. I think that your medical situation is becoming one of increasing frequency on this show, because it's been constipation.
Yeah.
It's been,
if you consider that a problem.
The opposite of constipation. I think it's not something that needs to be dealt with urgency. I think you often bounce back incredibly quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, quick turnaround times.
Yeah, so maybe it's actually just a testament to your strong immunity cultivated from years on the road.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, hopefully it's not the coffee, because we've continued to drink the coffee without too much trouble. The coffee here is great, by the way. Of course, Yemeni coffee, very, very famous. I know that that's something you place a lot of importance on. It's almost the first words that come out of your mouth in the morning.
Yeah, I think for me, it's really bolstered my love of the beautiful dark bean juice that is coffee, because I would survived without it in Pakistan and India for the most part,
Yeah.
topped up with chai, the very sugary, milky liquid. So coming here, I thought, maybe my love of coffee has been somewhat not replaced by the chai, but perhaps like a man with multiple lovers, I can love both equally.
Yeah.
That certainly has not been the case. As soon as I tasted coffee once more, cemented as my favourite drink of all time.
Yeah, nice. We were told previously that there is a chai culture here, maybe less so a coffee culture, but I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah, no, I think so. And, speaking of culture and our culture and the thing that we've been really cultivating whilst here in Oman, how have you found sleeping in the vehicle next to me on this sort of zebra coloured mat?
Well, maybe the correct answer to that, and the most honest answer, is that when we didn't sleep in the car for a couple of nights, I actually got withdrawal symptoms.
Like physical shakes and things.
Well, I said to you at the beginning of the road trip, didn't I, that when I go on a road trip, I become really attached to the vehicle, and the trip becomes more about me being in the car than it does about necessarily the tourist attractions that we might be seeing along the way. The point of the trip is the road trip itself and being on the road in the car. So I felt like because we had some decent nights in some incredible environments, it's quite cozy in this car, isn't it? It's comfortable, it's safe and secure.
Yeah.
I just feel good here.
We've lovingly named the vehicle Bushy.
Yes.
And I think of her very much as the third tripological member, to the point where when she pipes up with a message on the screen or tells us to do something, wear your seatbelts, guys. I often think it's of such value. I'm thinking about proposing that she has her own item on the show.
Just for the time that we're in Oman.
Yeah, it's Bushy's safety recommendations. Always wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, watch out for that fucking speed bump.
Well, yeah, I think you're perfectly positioned to talk about that now. Maybe, drink the coffee.
Yeah.
Don't stay in hostels. Use your car. Rent a car.
Yeah, or a tent.
What's the third big Oman tip here?
If you are going to be driving really long distances across Oman, highly, highly recommend, especially through towns, but sometimes not, keeping an eye out for invisible speed bumps. And I'm really surprised that no one told us about this, because we've spoken to some Omanis since then who have said that these speed bumps here are a nightmare. They pop out of nowhere and they are severe. They will damage your car.
Yeah, they lift Bushy up so she's completely airborne. 4 wheels off the ground sometimes.
If you drive fast enough.
And they do come out of nowhere, almost as if the ground in front of you is bunching up like an old used Persian rug.
I mean, call me old-fashioned. I thought the purpose of a speed bump was to slow people down.
Incentivize lower speeds.
Yeah, not necessarily to completely ruin the underside of every car that goes over them.
Yeah, these are less an incentive and more a nasty surprise.
Yeah, they're awful because some of them are painted.
Yeah.
And you pointed out earlier, didn't you, that a lot of them have the yellow stripes over them, so they are much more visible. But it's like they painted them before the turn of the century. I mean, they're faded completely. They're exactly the same colour as the road. And it's very difficult to describe to someone how you can't see a massive bump that you're fast approaching, but it is so difficult to see.
Yeah, I want to warn against that, because there will be listeners, we know that you're out there, who are going to listen to this and think, oh yeah, they've been getting caught up by the speed bumps, but I've driven lorries for 7 years, I've got a lot of experience on the road, it wouldn't catch me out.
Mm-hmm.
No. The speed bumps are invisible. You cannot predict them or see them. You can't even infer, oh, this seems like the kind of road that might have a speed bump, because sometimes the speed limit's 120 and a speed bump will erect itself in front of you. So please understand that if you were in Oman, you would also have had 4 wheels off the ground at some point.
Yeah, do take good care. And the scenery, even though the things that we've seen have been few and far between, I mean, by that I mean there are very long distances between the things that we have seen that have been incredible, I still do think it is worth driving really long distances in order to see the length and breadth of the country.
Yeah, I think that actually this is the way I would recommend. If someone was telling me I'm going to Oman, I think the way we've done it is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed the kind of culture that we've had. I've been DJing a lot. We've been driving together. We've been talking. One of us constantly on a lookout for speed bumps or anything like that. There's been a lot of camels in the road, a lot of hazards, a lot of natural beauty as we've been driving. I think I definitely recommend it. It has got hot at night.
Yep.
It's a difficult thing because we've been sleeping in this bed. Sometimes we open the doors and then mosquitoes will enter the car, and then we'll close the doors and then we'll start overheating. And it's a little bit of interplay between, do you want to wake up drenched or covered in mosquito bites? And that's like it's a push and pull that we always have to deal with.
You got to take the rough with the smooth.
But I do want to talk about some of the things that we've done here in Oman.
Oh, yeah.
I want to discuss some of the highlights so far. We've been here for, 10 days now, 11 days.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, really. I mean, after a meditation break.
We'll see you there.
Like a frame rate dropping on a video because of the intense heat affecting the device which we use to record, allow your conscious mind to return into your brain as we continue on this episode of Tripology, talking about Oman, the highlights of Oman, the things we liked. We started at the top of this episode saying that we were going to talk about plants, foliage and turtles, and we're going to continue on in that same vein.
Well, one thing that lots of people who have travelled Oman will know is that you can't move for the wadis.
Wadis, yeah. Okay, well, please, for the love of Christ, explain what that is.
As far as I know, a wadi is basically a valley. Did you have a more detailed description? Because you did look it up, didn't you?
I looked it up, and you're right, it is a valley, but specifically a valley, what's really, really dry.
Okay, so
a dry valley.
Very, very, very dry. And there are loads of spectacular ones, aren't there? Ones that have maybe aren't so dry because they've got rivers at the bottom of them with loads of like palm trees and lovely forests and all this kind of stuff. And we went to a spectacular valley just a few days in.
Yeah.
Called Wadi Tiwi.
I loved Wadi Tiwi.
We drove all the way through it pretty much.
Yep.
Until I think it became a different wadi.
Oh, really? We connected up to Wadi Marbat.
Is that what it was called?
I think so, maybe. I'm guessing, I think it was that. It was my favourite. It's actually still maybe one of my top 2 favourite things of this trip because I've been a little bit
Satisfied?
Yeah, dissatisfied.
I don't want to put words in
with
your mouth.
Some of the things. No, I appreciate it. Jesus. With some of the things, like we went to this sinkhole, which was billed as being an absolute dreamboat of a sinkhole. Yeah, and for me, it just seemed like quite underwhelming.
Yeah, it was. You put it really well because it was a sinkhole. Obviously, the sort of land that's fallen through the floor. Quite a cool pool at the bottom that you can swim in. Steps down to it. And they had basically done enough to make it look like a contrived tourist attraction.
Yeah. They'd taken something of natural beauty and turned it into a very rocky swimming pool.
Yeah, so it kind of lost that natural, just discovered element, but they hadn't made it touristy enough so that it was comfortable to experience.
Yeah, you still had to sort of like awkwardly get changed into your lingerie to get in a conservative country, making sure that no one else saw you.
Yeah, there's no like decking to walk down or anything like that, so you're walking over really uncomfortable rocks and stuff to get in there. There was actually quite a lot of trash there, unfortunately.
And it was quite busy.
Yeah.
So that's why Wadi Tiwi, for me, when we walked to it and opening out in front of us was this completely bare space, seemingly entirely undisturbed by human hands.
Yeah, and it was completely empty. We went very early in the morning, so it's got quite sort of dry, arid, orangey, browny colour. Think kind of like deserty Grand Canyon type rocks, right?
It was a dream for me.
And then, and then the green, the lush sort of forests opened up, and we were headed straight for a waterfall system.
Yeah, we could actually take a rope kind of down. You sort of abseil down the side of the rocky crags.
Adventurous.
To this river system that we then walked, waded, swam through to increasingly Jurassic topography.
Yeah.
I imagined like stalking a water buffalo in prehistoric times, wading through the thing. It was like a really beautiful, peaceful experience, man.
Yeah, so series of like rock walls basically and waterfalls and then even natural slides. And I slid down one. It's all covered in sort of green algae and stuff. I slid down one and then realised I had about 10 leeches on my leg.
I've never had a leech.
No?
They don't like me. They must operate on a very different code of ethics to the mosquito.
To the mosquito, I knew you. Yeah, mosquitoes absolutely love you.
Mosquitoes love me. Leeches hate me. Leeches seemingly love you, but you remain unscathed by the mosquito. So I'm glad that really, as Tripology, we provide a smorgasbord for all the blood-sucking creatures.
Do you know, one thing that waterfall system did highlight for me was that the time that you visit somewhere and how busy it is in terms of the other tourists or people in the area, it really has an enormous impact on your experience, doesn't it? I've said that once before about Kyoto in Japan, but we had the whole place to ourselves. It was sort of not eerie in a bad sense, but it did feel like we were discovering somewhere new.
No, eerie in a good sense. Eerie in a like, imagine if me and you were cascaded back in time to a world where there's no other humans or humans are very hard to find and we're just sort of in this unspoilt place. It was really very easy to imagine that the rest of civilization had fallen away.
Yeah, it was incredible the way it looked. It almost looked man-made, as if it was some like Disney resort trying to emulate a game like what would be a good example, like Uncharted or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I love that kind of aesthetic, that landscape. It was amazing to experience, and we probably spent about 2 hours there in the end, didn't we?
Wading about. Yeah,
we were there for ages. It just kept going, and I loved it. I'll go back in a heartbeat.
Me too. It was my second favourite thing that we've done in Oman so far.
All right.
Because I do want to get to the other green thing that happened.
That we did on the very same day.
Very same day, in what can only be described as one of the best 24 hours of travel so far.
Yeah.
We went to see some green turtles giving birth.
Yeah.
2 eggs.
Yeah. 2 eggs each.
Yeah. No, so, I mean, let's off the top of the dome give some little facts and tidbits, because this is one of the only places that you can see this happen.
Yeah.
Green turtles, one of the largest species of turtles. Once every 5 years or so, the females return to the beach at which they were born after migrating ever so long distances.
Yeah.
They engage in a ritual that involves them basically crawling up the beach, digging a big hole.
Incredibly cumbersome.
Laying a clutch of 100 to 150 eggs, covering the hole, and then dragging themselves like a sack of spuds back into the sea. And there's a season where you can go and see this, and Oman's an amazing place to go and see it. We went to the Turtle Reserve and paid top dollar to go and see these turtles laying their eggs.
It was a small fortune. And can I just say another fact that I think is absolutely astonishing, and also potentially the only fact I know about turtles now? So I'd like to add something to that.
Yeah.
The sex of the babies is determined by where on the beach the eggs are laid.
How remarkable is that? The temperature at which the eggs gestate, like, causes them to be boy turtles or girl turtles.
It's just incredible. And the females rotate, don't they? So 1 year they'll lay the eggs quite close to the sea, the shore, and then maybe the next year they'll go right to the back of the beach, and have a load of boys or girls, whichever one it is.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the boys are the ones that are close to the water,
lazy,
at the cooler temperature,
lazy. Yeah, that's why.
And the girls are at the back. So lazy mother turtles make male turtles
who can then afford to be lazy
because they never return to the beach.
Well, they've just got less to go, less distance, haven't they?
No, well, and the male turtles, they never return to the beach. They just swim around the life of Riley.
Oh.
They return to the beach they were born at just to mate the females in the water, never step on land again their whole lives.
Oh, jackpot.
So if that's not an indictment on the turtle patriarchy, then I don't know what is.
It was crazy, wasn't it? Because talking about the waterfall system that we went to in Wadi Tiwi, amazing. No one there. We had felt like the whole valley to ourselves.
Yeah.
Couldn't say the same about the turtle tour.
This was very much the opposite experience of nature, because we were seeing something that was equally remarkable and equally natural, but surrounded by German, Indian, Pakistani, Australian, Slovakian, Czechoslovakian families.
People from the Gulf as well, Gulf tourists.
Who were, really excited about seeing some turtles.
Mm-hmm. It's always baffled me, and I'm sure that the listeners of this podcast will feel exactly the same way. If the person guiding the tour tells you not to use your phone because it will disturb the animal and disrupt their laying, why would you continue to use your phone for some light? Because it was pitch black, wasn't it? It was about 9-10 o'clock when we walked over to the beach.
Yeah.
Pitch black, beautiful sky. We're like walking around with a red light, very important, because the white light will disturb the turtles.
So much as show a turtle a pinprick of a white light and it will head in that direction, a baby turtle, thinking that's the way that I should travel, right? Red light, completely unaffected.
So these tourists that then completely disregard what's been said to them by the expert, the tour guide. Some people are using their own torchlight, bright white, on their phone to sort of make sure that they're not stepping on anything, which in some cases actually could be a baby turtle.
Yeah.
Fair to say.
There's a lot of baby turtles on the beach, obviously, because when the eggs hatch, the baby turtles drag themselves to the water. They have a survival rate, Adam.
Yeah, I know, this is sad.
Of 1 in 1,000.
It is crazy to me that there are still turtles
Hold on,
around.
Is it 1 in 10,000 or 1 in 1,000?
I think they've got less than a 1% chance of surviving.
Yeah.
They are. It's incredibly unlikely.
Yeah, it's either 1 in 1,000 or 10 times less likely as that.
Yeah, I think it's for every 1,000 eggs, a couple of them will survive.
Crazy.
So it's pretty rubbish, and maybe that is because there are hordes of tourists using their phones to take pictures. I mean, what is the thinking behind that? If someone does tell you, look, guys, it's for the safety of the animals. We're working in conservation here. We understand you want to take photos and videos because it's amazing, but it's really not going to be good for them. You still get the snidey people taking their phones
But
out.
no one used flash, to be fair.
Yeah, I think the order was no phones.
I saw a turtle wearing sunglasses. It was like all the paparazzi. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It was just too big of a group, really, to be handled effectively by the tour guide. But I'm quite good in situations like that of just kind of compartmentalizing it and being like, yeah, it's annoying there's so many people. But there's still the majesty, I think. You're sort of creeping down the beach with a red light, and the tour guide does do his best to avoid disturbing the turtles himself. So sometimes he'll shine the light down the beach, see that a turtle's coming up, and then quickly move us away because we don't want to disturb that turtle.
Yeah.
And then he found a couple of mother turtles for us. One actively laying the eggs. And I'd like to come out on the podcast and say that I have now seen a turtle, forcing eggs out of its egg hole into a sand pit live.
How did you not make a turtle head joke then?
Well, because I've got some class. But the turtle, laying the eggs, actually laying them.
Yeah, no, it was incredible to see in real time. We were all sort of vying for a position at the front of the group, trying to see, and the guide, bless him, was letting us sort of rotate. You can have a couple of minutes, have a look at what the turtle's doing. But it is extraordinary to witness because
enormous animal, like laying these eggs that it then covers with the sand using its back flippers, and then covers using its front flippers, flicking the sand backwards over the eggs.
Yeah, and what I found amazing as well is that by doing that, it's naturally creating another hole because it's dragging itself out through the sand and then flicking all the sand back over the eggs. Yeah. And then it creates a second hole as it gets out of the hole it was in to then get back to the sea.
And that hole serves two functions. Can you remember what they are?
I can. Function number one, decoy predators.
Yes. A fox might go to that hole and think this is where the eggs are. No. The eggs are about 2 meters back.
You're wrong, you idiot fox.
Yeah.
And also, it forms a hole for another laying turtle. It's cool, isn't it?
It's really cool.
The way things go like that. It's really good. So yeah, I would do it again. I mean, it was eye-wateringly expensive, but I think it was so spectacular and so lovely to witness something like that you might only see once in your life.
Yeah.
You know, you got to get it right. You got to get the season, the timing, everything spot on. So definitely worth doing for sure.
If you are going to try and interact with heroes in a half shell, it should be either swimming with them as part of a scuba diving adventure.
Yeah, but not touching them.
No.
Don't touch them.
Just swim with them in the wild. Or watch them give birth.
Yeah, and we saw another beautiful turtle sort of clambering across the beach. We did say, didn't we? It looks like a hard life these turtles are living.
Adam anthropomorphized the turtles to such a ridiculous degree.
Yeah. Adam, it's not a person. Oh, right, it's a turtle. Cool.
Can we have one of the turtles on the podcast next week? No. In Bushy's item.
Yeah. No, it is, out of all the animals, I mean, crikey, it looks hard, doesn't it?
It's one of my new favourite animals, man.
Yeah?
Yes. I'd like to...
Not the giraffe off the top spot.
I previously liked giraffes because of their evolutionary obviousness. You know, it's clear that they got long necks to try and get the trees at the top and all that stuff. Turtles now, I think, what a remarkable thing. That such a, let's face it, stupid animal can do such complex things to aid the survival of its species.
Yeah, they looked robotic.
Almost animatronic, yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned animatronic, and I think that's a really apt description.
Yeah, it was hard. And I don't know if that's because I haven't been exposed to many turtles in my life, but it really didn't look that real. It was interesting to see. The way it was moving and stuff looked like a robot.
Whether it's waddies that appear like a set at Disneyland or a turtle with a suspiciously animatronic whir behind its egg-covering behaviour, could it be that Oman is one of the most beautiful places on Earth, or just the set of a crazy travel theme park? We'll find out on the next week of Tripology, where we talk about the rest of our adventure in Oman. And then, unfortunately, we have to part ways. But if you want to keep up to date, you've always got the podcast every week, but you can also head to tripologypodcast.com.
Whoa!
If you go there, what kind of things can you expect?
You're going to get articles galore. You're going to have videos of the podcast, of course. A couple of blogs.
We've got Rice for Breakfast, the tripological food blog. We've got Tales of a Trip, a sort of whimsical journey into the mind of Adam and I as we pursue a life on the road. Head to tripologypodcast.com. You can also send us a message there.
Yeah.
Be featured in the Hostel Common Room section of the website. What's that? Is Tripology expanding to become one of the greatest travel podcasts ever seen on planet Earth? Certainly seems that way. We do have a website now, so we'll see you all on the next week of Tripology.
Yeah, we're going off to the Lost and Found section on Patreon, patreon.com/tripologypodcast.
Oh my
Little
God.
secret section at the end there.
We'll see you there.
Bye.
Bye.